Your prime with M Drive. So Notre Dame's going to get rolled just like everybody in the SEC today, probably by 3 touchdowns. I'll take Clemson by like a point or 2, but I think Ohio State's the side. I also think it's a low-scoring game. Cannot wait for those. Top of next hour, Blazing 5. Never had a losing season. I'm 1 under 500, so we're rooting for it. Joy and I were talking during the break. There are certain universities in this country, like Stanford. I was talking to David Shaw one time, their head coach, about, how hard it is to win at Stanford. And he said, we look at transcripts before game film. I mean, there's no reason to recruit a kid if he can't get in. And he goes, secondly, we never have 85 players on scholarship. We can't get 85 guys that qualify for Stanford that are good enough to play in our conference. So it's not a knock on anybody else. It's just a reality of there are these Northwesterns and Stanfords and Notre Dames that are very rigorous academically, and they play by a little different rules. So if Notre Dame wins 10 games, to me, God bless them. I mean, these are schools I could not get in out of high school. I couldn't get into Notre Dame out of high school. I couldn't. I tried to get into Duke. I couldn't get into Duke. We just have to be honest about this. There are these schools that ask more of young people, and they're powerhouses academically. So David Bakhtiari he's going to make the Hall of Fame. He's a left tackle for the Packers. It's just gutting. He's out for the year. I hate to see that. Big guys heal slowly. Practice injury, knee injury. He's out for the season. But I can see all the Packer fans lining up to make excuses. He missed 3 games earlier this year. Here were Aaron Rodgers' stats. 71% completion percentage, 11 touchdowns, no picks, passer rating of 130. David Bakhtiari is the best pass-blocking left tackle in the NFL. Probably has been for 2 or 3 years. He is not worth a point in the NFL. He may be worth a half a point, maybe. It didn't change the line yesterday much. Not that I can tell. Aaron Rodgers, in the 3 games he missed this year, was sacked twice. Now, it's the Bears. It's Khalil Mack. So Khalil Mack will be playing against a backup. That is never good news. And I imagine Aaron will get sacked by Khalil Mack this weekend, and it will be problematic, at least early. The Packer coaches will have to adjust to it. But let me give you Ronnie Stanley, Baltimore. He's another first ballot Hall of Fame left tackle for the Ravens. He's absolutely he's a Notre Dame guy, by the way, I believe. Phenomenal player. Baltimore's offense struggled when he was healthy this year. Baltimore's rush-centric offense with Ronnie Stanley out is the hottest in the NFL. So Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson are nimble enough that if they're missing their left tackle, they can adjust. Now, the Colts have a left tackle, Anthony Costanzo, who's very good. The Colts offense has struggled when he's out, but that's Phillip Rivers, who is about as nimble as my coffee table. So that's a different situation, but it's not going to affect. Remember, the year Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl, you remember that year, Charles Woodson got hurt in the Super Bowl. They had several key players that year and in the playoffs on the IR. So I don't think it's season ending. I don't think it lessens their chance to win the Super Bowl. Most of the really great edge rushers in the NFL right now are in the AFC. Joey Bosa is terrific. Myles Garrett is incredible. TJ Watt for the Steelers, I think, is unblockable. So to me, outside of Khalil Mack, most of your great edge rushers are on the other conference, the other side that Green Bay would not face until the Super Bowl. Here is Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
So the Browns were without their top 4 wide receivers last week when they lost to the Jets.
Yeah.
But they will get them all back for their crucial matchup with the Steelers on Sunday.
And a linebacker, too, I think.
Yes. Jarvis Landry, Rashard Higgins, Kadarius Hodge, and Donovan Peoples-Jones all have been activated off the COVID list and are available on Sunday. Malcolm Smith, tight end Harrison Bryant, and corner Denzel Ward were placed on the COVID list this week. They are 8.5-point favorites, according to Fox Bet right now.
I would take Cleveland. We had a discussion this morning. My staff tried to convince me that if Baker lost, that the Browns would not pick up his option. And I said, I think when he beat Tennessee, people felt sort of like, we'll pick up his option. I don't think this is a make or break, pick up the option for Baker. Now, if he comes out and does some really sophomoric stuff and is awful, because he did lose to the Jets, but I tend to think The Rams and the Browns lost to the Jets. The Jets have some real good defensive players, and it's hard to get fired up for the Jets. I think Cleveland's going to be fired up for the Steelers. I think they're going to play really well, and I think they're going to win comfortably.
Well, they don't have to win. They need to win if they want to control their own destiny. They can still make the playoffs if the Colts lose to the Jaguars.
They won't.
And if the Titans lose to the Texans and the Ravens and Dolphins both win. So there's a lot of chips that have to fall in place if they lose. I do think that there's something to how Baker plays. Baker overall this season has shown that he is very capable. When he has the right pieces around him, he is a distributor, and that's not, there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's not a critique. I think we all know that Baker Mayfield is not Tom Brady. Like he's not Aaron Rodgers. That's okay. There's only one Tom Brady and one Aaron Rodgers and one Patrick Mahomes. You don't have to be that to have success in this league and have a long career. So I think what the Browns have been this year is a success either way.
Absolutely.
Normally I'd be much harder on the Browns, but it is a new head coach in a COVID-shortened season. Yeah. This is I can't keep track of the third system that Baker has had to learn.
Yeah, if Cleveland makes the playoffs, I think they will, and they lose their first game, I have no problem with it. If you go look at the history of rookie head coaches going to the playoffs and having to face veteran head coaches, just look who's in there now. You're going to have an Andy Reid. You're going to have a Mike Tomlin. You're going to have a John Harbaugh. So, I mean, Stefanski getting to the playoffs is an amazing...
I think it's a massive success. I think even if they don't make it, it's still a successful season for the Browns. I would hold them... If this was their second year, it would be a different conversation.
Yeah.
But I would give them a pass this year. Last week against the Jets, you have all your receivers out. Look, everybody's dealing with the same circumstances this year. It's 2021 now, but this season with COVID, so you can't make excuses. But that is a factor in why they lost. To your point, it's hard to get up for the Jets. They could have won and should have won that game regardless. They were still the more talented and better team. But it happens. It's the NFL. 8.5 is a lot of points.
I'm going to take Cleveland to cover. I am.
I understand Mason Rudolph is playing, and trust me, I have no confidence in Mason Rudolph whatsoever. But
in fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be 28-10. It's going to be a blowout, Cleveland.
Blowout?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to score much because I think Myles Garrett's playing. Cleveland has to play for more. And I think, frankly, let's not kid ourselves. Unless the weather's a factor, Cleveland right now has been a better team in the last 6 weeks outside of the Jets game.
That is fair. So the Broncos have been searching for their franchise quarterback since Peyton Manning retired after the 2015 season. In fact, they're 32-47 since, with no playoff appearances and 9 starting quarterbacks, not counting the game they had to play without a quarterback.
Right.
So needless to say, they've been struggling at that position since Peyton left. Drew Lock hasn't